Hello YouTube, back at it again, now with over 1,000 subscribers. Thank you very much, appreciate that. As you can see, I addressed the step well area that needs to be covered to cover the Crown Vic frame. And from here, we're just gonna mess with some little interior stuff. Hopefully the UPS man shows up with a little package I've been waiting for mock-up. With that said, let's get to work. So how I'm going about these step well extensions is I just welded some square tube to the underside, floor pans there, and then I took some 16 gauge steel and just welding those as the filler pieces. I wanted it a little thicker since it's structural, it's going to get stepped on and everything, and so figured 16 gauge would be a good one to go with. And basically I just make a template and then cut it out, weld it in. I'll clean up these welds, put some etching primer down, and then I'm going to bed liner the side there and just leave that epoxy primed, and then lay the peel and seal over that. On this side, I did lay a welding blanket underneath there over the fuel line. Don't need to be setting this thing on fire. So I got the step well all welded, ground down. I put some etching primer on, let that dry, and then I bed linered it. And for that rubberized coating there, some call it bed liner, some call it undercoating. Bed liner is different than undercoating, so technically it's undercoating. Just use this Rust-Oleum aerosol stuff. It works really good. I have a bed liner gun slash undercoating gun that I use for big jobs, but this stuff's just as good for smaller jobs and a lot less cleanup. And I've had really good success with it. I've also been asked recently how I dyed my seat, and I just use the Duplicolor vinyl and fabric dye type. It's like a dye slash coating. And on that vinyl and fabric dye stuff, I've never had any issues. I've used it on 2 other cars before. I've never had any issues with it rubbing off or coming off on my clothes or it even fading. I was told by somebody who had it in their car for like 5-6 years that it started to fade a little bit and they just recoated it and it worked fine. I'm kind of surprised by it. When it first came out, kind of thought it was snake oil, you know, whatever. And but I gave it a shot on a 66 Cadillac DeVille that I had that had both vinyl slash fabric bench seats in it, and it worked great, and it held up for the 3 years that I had it and never came off on my clothes or anything. And no, I'm not sponsored by Duplicolor. So I had a good size hole here where the floor pan meets the A-pillar wall there, if that's what it's called. And so I just took some plate steel, or sheet metal really, and built it into a little L, edge primed the back side. I'm going to grind these welds down, and then when I get this paint matched, I'm going to edge prime it now after I grind the welds. When I get this paint color matched, I'll be able to paint that there. I did the same for the other side. They both had, you know, decent sized holes right there. And I think a lot of them do. A lot of the F100s I've seen have that. In the Midwest, that is. There goes UPS. I'll show you what he dropped off. So he brought me my trailer hitch system for the truck, and I can see it's been handled with the love and care that UPS provides. What I'm going to try to do with it is hide it behind the license plate. I'm going to use a flip-up license plate, and then you'll be able to get to the hitch from that way. Okay, so this trailer hitch was designed to go on a Crown Vic and follow the contour of the very back of the frame, which we've cut out. So it's got this little contour built into it, which will, you know, doesn't necessarily line up. The thing was designed to be mounted with 4 grade 8 bolts. So what I think I'm going to do is just go ahead and cut this here on either side and then clean it up and then weld it in permanently. That's going to be stronger than bolts, than 4 bolts. That way I can mount it exactly how I want it. What I plan to do is to go ahead and run the grade 8 bolts for these 2 holes that are right here, and then just weld the crap out of it. Just make it as sturdy as I can make it. And if you're doing this, I don't know if I would do it with a 110 welder. I'm using my 220 welder, and I'm just going to crank it all the way up because I'm going to want as much penetration as I can get. That's what she said. A question I'm probably going to be asked is why didn't I just build my own trailer hitch system? And there's a few reasons for that. Number one thing is cost. The cost of the materials, the shielding gas, the welding wire, and probably the biggest thing is getting it powder coated, sending it out for powder coating. All that probably would end up costing more than just buying this system. This is a class 3 system for under 140 bucks. It's already got the right measurements for the Crown Vic. And I think another big one, probably the biggest one, is time. You know, I'm doing the whole stay-at-home dad thing, and between running my business, doing that, taking care of him, and trying to get as much work done on the truck, it's just a matter of making the most out of my time. I would have liked to have fabricated the hitch system. And for the trailer hitch, I got this little guy on Amazon, Hopkins Towing Solutions wiring kit. It'll allow me to use either the 7-blade or the 4-flat connections for trailers. 7-blade, obviously used for electronic brakes, if you're using a trailer with electronic brakes. And I'll just have to wire in the thing for electronic brakes to send back to this guy. But yeah, it's an all-in-one kit that just bolts right to the hitch. And I'm gonna make this relatively hidden as well. But link below to this guy. All right, in my previous video, I mentioned that I was gonna do Q&A. If you wanted to ask any questions, I'd be happy to answer them for my 1,000 subscriber thing. And thank you guys so much. 1,000 subscribers, that's awesome. I really appreciate the support, it's great. The thumbs up, and even the people that thumbs down the video, I don't know if you know this, it helps my videos. So really, when you're giving me a thumbs down, it's helping my videos and the relevance of how it shows up on YouTube. So thank you for that. One of the questions I got was, you mentioned in the comments that it made more sense for you to swap the whole chassis rather than piece one together. The Crown Vic rear end with the Watts link and the 4-link. I just think it's a neat setup. It's kind of a hot rod setup for what it is, a cheap hot rod setup. Another thing is the Panther chassis, which is what these are that go under the Grand Marquis and Crown Vics and such. They're all fully boxed. I mean, everything's already laid out. And I think I will try the other way. And because this isn't the last truck I'm going to do. I think I might try the other way next time, just to see how it goes, just to see how it works. Just doing an Explorer rear end, Crown Vic front end on the F100 frame. Second part of that question, he asks also if you could talk about how the registration is going to work. As I understand it, the title goes with the frame. So will you be registering this as a Crown Vic or as a kit? I'm going to be registering it as the truck. Truck came with the title, the Crown Vic did not. In the state of Iowa where I am, all I have to do is take the title in, tell them fix the truck up, and then I'm registered. They don't even have to inspect it. That varies state by state. If you're in a state where they need to inspect it, you can just leave before you start the project, just register it then, before you take the body off the frame, because they need to read a VIN on the frame and a VIN on the truck. So then you just register it before you start the project, then you take the frame off, and you know, that's one way to go about it. I don't know how it works if you're gonna sell it off and it gets transferred. I guess depending on their state, I don't know if it'll have to get another inspection to transfer the title. I've heard, and I don't condone this, but I've heard of people cutting the VIN out of the frame, their original frame, and flush welding it into the Crown Vic frame. I wouldn't try it, but I've heard a couple of guys do it. So I don't know. I mean, you could try to register it as a Crown Vic, but keep in mind, police check plates. Sometimes when they're behind a car, they'll just check a plate. And if it comes back, if your truck comes back as a Crown Vic, you might have a felony stop on your hands with guns drawn and laid out on the pavement, because they might think it's stolen or switched plates, or you know, something's up. So that's the big reason why my donor truck, I wanted to have a title for it, because in the state of Iowa, all I have to do is take that title in, say I got the truck running, they give me plates, registration, no questions asked. Another question I get is, what kind of welder do I have? I have a Lincoln Electric 210 MP that I run on the 220 setting. It's a workhorse of a welder. I really like it. Another question I got is, who's my favorite car builder on TV? I don't watch a whole lot of car builders on TV. And it's only one reason. I just get frustrated. I start watching, like 10 minutes in, I just get frustrated, go out in the garage and work on my own thing. Because, you know, I'd rather be working on my own. But my favorite one by far is Ian Roussel. He has a show called Full Custom Garage. The guy is amazing. He does some incredible stuff. I think it's on Velocity Channel. Look him up. The guy does some incredible work. He does it all himself too. The guy's got a wild imagination and just one of the most skilled fabricators I've ever seen. There'll probably be some questions on towing, like what, you know, being that I plan to tow with this, what's the tow rating on the Crown Vic? You can look, but you're probably not going to find any solid numbers, certainly not from Ford. And the reason is this: Ford has a gem that they're trying to protect. And I totally understand it, and that's the F-150. If they put out true tow ratings for the Crown Vic, I mean, they want you to believe that if you want to tow, you need to buy an F-150. But the 4.6 has been proven, this transmission's been proven, the rear end's been proven. I mean, these things can tow. And I'd say you could tow an F-150 coast to coast with a Crown Vic with no problem. I'd put money on it. I totally understand why Ford did that. I mean, it's just good business. They didn't have to worry about selling the Crown Vic. It's a proven car, and they had so many agencies with contracts and things. Whereas in the pickup truck market, being as, cutthroat as it is, they want to try to stay on top with the F-150. So finding accurate tow ratings for a Crown Vic, it's tough. And you certainly won't get them from Ford. Landon, my son, got himself a Ford, and check it out. You got an F-150? Well, alright guys, that's going to do it for this video. Again, I appreciate the support. I've got a lot of time that I'm going to be able to dedicate to the truck, so hopefully the next video will come out quicker than this one did. Still playing catch up, got another order of bikes that I had to fill, and so in the middle of those.